Giving all glory and honor and praise to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Makar HaKadash. Double honor to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teaching this 100% truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect, beginning with the 144,000 and the rest of the men, women, and children. I'm your brother Magun Shalamar. Come with this short video. The title of this short video is going to be something like Esau, so-called white man, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. This is going to be a video showing you that America in ties with Israel in order to take over Gaza. Trump wants to make the strip, part of Gaza Strip, into some of his towers and, basically a watering hole for making money for him. So we're going to get right into it. Fair use, fair use. This is not for monetary gain, but for education purposes only. Fair use.
More and more information is coming out exposing the true plan that the United States and Israel have for Gaza. And it has nothing to do with peace. They do not want to give Palestinians equal rights. They certainly do not want Palestinians to have their own state. And this plan involves the U.S. dividing Gaza into two parts. One half will be overseen by the U.S. and rebuilt, and there will be basically no Palestinians there. And Trump will build luxury real estate in this area. And then in the other half of Gaza, Palestinians will be trapped in rubble. They will not be allowed to rebuild their homes. And the strategy is to create so much suffering that they agree to so-called voluntary relocation. And this plan is also closely related to the U.S. government's attempt to create a new trade route and economic infrastructure to connect India to the Persian Gulf, to Israel, and into Europe, and to use this as an alternative to China, to try to weaken China in the new Cold War, and to oppose China's global infrastructure project, the Belt and Road Initiative. So this is not just about Gaza, it's not just about Palestine, it's about a larger geopolitical plan being drafted by the U.S. empire. All of this was clearly spelled out in a series of reports that I will be looking at in the analysis today. Now, first, I need to talk about the so-called ceasefire that went into effect in October. This is not a real ceasefire. With U.S. support, Israel has violated this ceasefire thousands of times. British state media, the BBC, investigated and found that Israel destroyed more than 1,500 buildings in Gaza in the first month of the so-called ceasefire. This is according to satellite images of the destruction that were reviewed by the BBC. It wrote, quote, "Entire neighborhoods controlled by the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, have been leveled in less than a month, apparently through demolitions," end quote. And the BBC noted that legal experts have said that Israel is obviously violating the ceasefire after Trump claimed supposedly that the war is over. The war is not over. Trump knows that because he's helping Israel continue waging this war. The BBC published satellite images that show what areas in Gaza looked like when the so-called ceasefire went into effect. And you can see that there were a bunch of buildings and houses, and they were all destroyed, and what is left is rubble. And this is not a coincidence. This is part of the U.S.-Israeli strategy to colonize Gaza. This was never about the hostages. We constantly heard propaganda from the Israeli regime and from Washington claiming that as soon as the hostages in Gaza were released, the war would end. Well, the hostages were released in October, and yet Israel has continued bombing Gaza. And not only Gaza, Israel is also bombing South Lebanon. For Israel, the ceasefire doesn't exist. The Trump administration, the U.S. government, brokered this fake so-called ceasefire as diplomatic cover as the U.S. helps Israel to continue waging this colonial war. Meanwhile, the United Nations has openly reported that Israel is violating the ceasefire and is constantly rejecting aid requests. So Israel is not allowing most aid to go into Gaza.
So we know, this is all their plan to the mass genocide over there in Gaza. They don't plan on making any peace. They already said they're going to exterminate the rest of them until they get what they want, which is that entire Gaza Strip, you know. But we know this is all Yahweh's plan in order to draw America into this soon-to-be World War III. Jeremiah 49:20, it says, "Therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Edom, and his purposes, that he have purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their inhabitants desolate with them." You know, and that's Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is making Israel draw America into their battle. Because them people that call themselves the small hatters, they're not. They actually was the descendants coming from Teman, which is like Germany and all those countries next to them. They was Europeans coming into, Edomites coming down, migrated into that area, that land they call in Israel. And then they started taking on, calling themselves the Ish people, you know, but they're not. So it says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, right? Because they're the least of the flock. Amalek is the least of the flock. They're the chief tribe of Israel, but they're the least. But they're the small hatters that got the money. They the one has the money bag. They're the ones that are that includes the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, the DuPonts, you know. All of those top elite families that are rich, that are behind the scenes causing this evil on this earth. You know, they're the ones that are gonna draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, because Israel is gonna be desolated and America is gonna be desolated as soon as World War III comes in, and the holy angel comes with Yahweh Shah Mashiach in those chariots. They're gonna destroy both countries, but Israel is gonna be built back up. America is not. It's gonna become a desert for wild birds and for devils. This is Proverbs chapter 24. Salakia. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 24. It says, "He that saith unto the wicked, thou art righteous, him shall the people curse. Nations shall abhor him." And that's America. That's what America is calling, you know, the small hatters over there in Israel, righteous. What they're doing is a righteous act, and what they're doing is for a good purpose, which is actually wicked. They're only just doing genocide in order to get those people, Ishmael, out of their land. But the land doesn't belong to either one of those, so we don't have no sympathy for the Ishmael, because it's not their land, and we damn sure ain't got no empathy for the small hats over there, because it doesn't belong to them. That land belonged to the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indian, who make up the 12 tribes of Israel. That's our land, you know. That's our motherland, and the Lord Yahweh Shai is going to bring us back to, starting with the elect when he returns and take over his power, put his power down on this earth. It says, "Thou art, he has said unto the wicked, thou art righteous, him shall the people curse." And because the rest of the world is waking up to America, man. Like, why are you backing this evil ass entity of the people that call themselves the Ish, call themselves the Jews, what they're not? You know, they over there murdering, genocide, you know, killing innocent, not even say innocent, but unarmed people who trying to get help from the hospital, who trying to seek food. They being slaughtered, you know, on the way to get some type of first aid. You know, this all been televised. And so America also is being hated more and more. So like it. Let's read James chapter 5, verse 1. It says, "Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you." Right, and that's what's happening, man. That's what's happening right now. So, you know, you got the Donald Trumps. We know him to be Nero 47. you know, in the spirit. You know, they thinking they're gonna get rich, and he's trying to set up his domain over there, which we know it to be true. That he's going to try to set up these beautiful, lavish golf clubs, Trump towers. You know, he on the whole 9 yards. When they said that, when that man said that, brought that out in that piece we just read, I'm like, yep, that's his MO. You know, that sounds about right. That's why he's so invested into allowing, you know, Israel to go ahead and just bomb them out. You know, America got your back. Why? Because half of that gonna belong to him. You know? Verse 2 says, your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. Everything you touch is turning into shit. You know? Your kingdom is falling. Esau's kingdom is crumbling. As we see it every day, America is falling. You know? They can't even go back 10 years ago, 20 years ago, recapture the glory days of America 20 years ago. Much less go back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. That seemed like ancient times for them to recapture that beauty of America, so-called beauty of America. They can't even recapture that. This place is fallen. Verse 3 says, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. These are your last days, buddy. This is it. You have heaped treasures together for the last days. You know, you are going around, you are circling into the drain, so-called white man kingdom. This kingdom is crumbling. And you just trying to reach out, trying to go start war and try to grab some land in Venezuela. You know, you just reaching, you just grabbing, trying to grab anything that keep you from sinking. But it's not going to work. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them that have reaped are entered into the ears of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shah of the Sabbath. And you know who those people are. Those are the same people you got over here together. We're being brought here together, talking about the southern tribe and the northern tribe, and you still have us in slavery, man. Those are the laborers of your fields, and the cries of the saints have been going out to the Lord, man. And this is the time of his of your judgment. Verse 5, it says, ye have lived in a pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. You see that? That's what you've been doing, man. You've been living pleasurably on this earth, getting fat. You getting fat for the slaughter that the Lord Yahweh Shah is going to bring down to you, man. Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah is going to bring down to you. You know? You getting fattened for the slaughter. You have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you, because we have no power. We don't have carnal power like the Esau has. Esau been blessed with the sword. The Lord blessed him with the sword, and the Lord is going to take that sword away from him by force. You understand? It's going to be by force. The same force he used on this earth is the same force that the Yahweh Shah is going to come back with, but much, much, much more greater, because he said, I'm not going to meet thee as a man. You know? This is Job 20, verse 22. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. We just read that precept back in James 5 and 5. Because that wicked is talking about the laborers, talking about the Esau. It's like talking about the Israelites. It's talking about the laborers. Let's get that. Okay, and that word in Hebrew is amal. Okay, laborer. See, that wicked means laborer. Okay, laborer, workman, sufferer, and that's what we are. That's who the Hebrew Israelites we are. We are the sufferers. We were the laborers, you know. And here in America, because the majority of us is being oppressed here in America, together, the southern tribe and the northern tribe. We say, in the fullness of the sufficiency in his straits, he shall be in his straits. He shall be in his trouble. He's going to be in so much fucking trouble on every sides, you know. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him, right? And that's after the, well, let's read. It says, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High, Yahweh, shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating, right? And that's going to happen when, soon as he think everything is cool, he going to get that New World Order on the way. After he bringing that MOTB, we know it to be the micro C hip, which we see it every day that they're pushing it. You know, they doing the digital, they pushing everything to the digital ID. So we seeing it every day that this is in his soon plans to come, you know. And as soon as he think he's going to start capitalizing on that and getting back and getting rich, got trying to get the whole world into slavery under him, so-called white man power, then the Yahweh Shah is going to be, World War III is going to kick off. And he's going to be in straits. And the Lord is going to, when Yahweh Shah returns, you know, he's going to gather his elect in them UFOs, so-called UFOs known to be the chariots of Israel. And he's going to bless some of us with spiritual powers. I pray that I'm part of the hopeful elect, you know. And we're going to come back down from them chariots, man. And we're going to, you know, get busy on this devil, man. We're going to get busy on them. So with that, I hope you was edified. Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Rakah HaKadosh. Double honor to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom.